Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. On a afternoon that's featured a couple thunderstorms, gonna yet again clear the air for a few days. Tomorrow the forecast is high in the 60s. I'm okay with that. I'm a big fan because I won't need the fan. I was watching a video the other night about a guy out in California who's got a whole arena full of monster trucks trying to keep them running, and actually shouted out my channel and saying that's how he got the confidence to fix his own stuff right at the track, and for him and all his other monster truck owner guys and girls. And that's awesome. Helping your fellow car guy is definitely where it's at. And I say car guy, doesn't gender is not important. Male, female, everybody's welcome. That's the beauty of racing and hot rods. It doesn't matter gender, race, religion, politics. Nobody cares. You just like cars and you help each other out. So that's the community, and that's the way it should be. So, been contemplating for a while. I answer a lot of questions, and the only way I can answer any question is my opinion based on experience and sometimes facts and science, but it might be fun, especially if you're new here to the Mountains Garage YouTube channel. I don't often say like and subscribe and comment, but in this case, after you listen to what I say and you want to comment, please do. That'll be awesome. We can have a conversation. If you were sitting here, we could do it live, but that's for another day, I guess. So today, I'm only going to pick a couple subjects and talk about them. First subject, it's been hot lately. It is summertime after all. And inevitably, talking to people, going to car shows, reading the online hot rod type forums or engine forums, often it is written or spoken that, my vehicle is running hot. To break that down, we need to determine what acceptable hot is. How do we influence it either way, and a little bit of science. So if you remember back probably 7th grade, they talked about things that would always be present in your life that you really didn't pay attention to, but in this case, water at sea level boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll keep it Fahrenheit because despite the threats when I was a kid about the metric system taking over in America, we really haven't accomplished that entirely. We use both. So today we're talking Fahrenheit, 212 degrees at sea level. If you can lower the atmosphere pressure, for instance, if we go to Denver, Colorado, a mile high, their water probably boils around 200 degrees. And adversely, if you add pressure to it with your radiator cap, how convenient is that? On your radiator cap on your vehicle is a rating in pounds, 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20. If you add 15 pounds of pressure to your cooling system at sea level, your water now boils about 265 probably. I believe the formula is for every 1 pound, you gain 3 degrees of boiling point. So do the math. That's why it's a stock car. It's going to go around in circles for a lot of laps. Probably has a 22-pound cap on it, radiator cap. And that's why. So that just tells us we have an effective range. And many things I've read lately, people say, I put in a 160-degree thermostat, my car's running 190. What do I do? You know what you do? Nothing. If you want your cooling system to actually perform at 160 degrees, you're going to need a bigger radiator, because that is telling you is you put a thermostat in that opens early. It's open at 160. Potentially you've made your cooling system less efficient because now you're just pumping water through the radiator. It never has time to relax in the radiator and maybe cool off more than it would with a higher thermostat. But at some point it just gets warm, and it's going to boil down to how efficient your radiator is. But modern vehicles all run 195 to 215 for a reason. It's better for the engine. It boils off moisture in the oil, etc. It hurts nothing in your daily driver. Now, if you're racing, you're probably going to make max horsepower around 150 degrees water temperature. So you need to plan that. Drag racing specifically, if you drive through the staging lanes, have to start and stop the engine a few times. Plan when you're going to start it, do your burnout and stage. Work out a routine where maybe you leave your pits at 100 degrees, and by the time you've done everything you're supposed to do, you're staging the car, and that's the most important number to work with at the same water temperature every time. So if you want to stage the car at 150 degrees, you alter your performance. The car's going to do whatever it's going to do, hopefully the same every time. You need to do the same thing every time to be consistent. So if you're a winning racer, you already know this. So don't worry about the guy in the other lane, worry about your procedures and doing everything the same. When I build a car, and I'm going to go drive it for the first time, and I've got all the air out of my radiator, I've let it come up to temp, have the thermostat open a few times. It's typically going to push air out and take water in. Get to the point where it's actually full, just like your transmission, but that's not what we're talking about today. Check it many times. When you're confident it's actually full, has no air in it, and you're actually driving it, you got an accurate gauge, which sensor location, etc. matters. But wherever you have all it hooked up, you're going to get a reading either on your EFI screen or on your gauge on the dash, whatever. Could be electric gauge, could be analog, doesn't matter. You're getting a reading. I'm not going to get worried. It's going to, whatever thermostat I chose, I'm probably going to choose a 180 for a street car. I have a decent radiator, and if I go down the road at 195 and I'm not climbing, I'm good. When the temperature keeps climbing is when you have a problem and you need to stop. But I don't worry. Again, I watch the gauge. Weather varies. If I'm consistently over 220, headed for 230, at 230 I'm going to pull over and stop. Fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. But if I'm running 200 to 210, all it's telling with a 180 thermostat, it's just telling me I need a more efficient cooling system. Not just the radiator, the fan, etc. So oftentimes it's, if you have a mechanical fan, it's maybe buried in the shroud too much. It needs to be hanging out so it can grab air. Electric fans, same thing. Sometimes you built a fan shroud with electric fans, but you're not letting the air come through the radiator. Could be your car, the opening the grill, etc. Science it out, because it's more than one piece. And again, don't worry necessarily about the temperature, just whether it's rising or not. So that's my opinion on that. Second subject, this one might be a little bit shorter, but when you pull up to the gas pump, you have octane rating choices. 87 being the cheapest option, up to 93, sometimes 95, sometimes higher octane. A lot of people make it to feel good for the person. They want to do something nice for their vehicle. They want to dump in a special oil. They want to buy the best gas. And that's great. It really harms nothing most of the time. You can buy premium gas and put it in your whatever vehicle, no matter how high or low performance it is, and you're not going to hurt it. You might be wasting your money. The manufacturer in the owner's manual tells you a recommended octane rating. Most of the time it's 87. 87 octane burns the hottest. You get the most BTUs out of it. Octane, without getting too scientific, the higher the octane, the cooler the fuel burns, allowing you to have higher compression in the engine and the ability to make more power. So your fuel is just allowing it to not detonate or knock, allowing you to run more compression, etc. So if you put premium fuel in a vehicle recommended for 87, the vehicle, modern vehicles, are going to compensate for it. You might not get the same, you might get less gas mileage. You're not going to hurt anything. You're just spending an extra 15, 20 cents a gallon or more at the pump for no reason. I can take my Street 55, it has a Blueprint 383. engine. It's almost 11-to-1 compression. Most of the time, if I'm just putting around, I'm not going to go race it or anything. I'm putting 87 in it. It doesn't ping. It runs great. I'm not going to stress the engine. I'm not going to put it in a situation where it's going to detonate. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to plan ahead and put higher octane fuel in it. So, oh, that airplane sounds pretty low. Let's hope it clears the roof. So again, you can choose to buy the best fluids. That's a whole other subject, and a good one, if it makes you feel good. But little science applied here, and you might be saving yourself money at the pump. Same applies for racing fuel. You know, that stuff probably starts around 100 octane, goes to 120-ish. There's different formulas. Probably best to read the description from the manufacturer. A lot of them are oxygenated, which I guess make more power because there's more oxygen mixed with the fuel. All requires a good choice. Maybe talk to the people that are distributing it, the actual scientists that brewed it up for a reason. But you know, if you're running an extremely high compression engine, you're gonna need a lot of octane just to keep it from not detonating and doing damage to itself. Last subject for the day, tire pressure. You open the driver's door, I believe it's law these days in America anyway, and look at the opening somewhere, the door opening of the driver's door. It's going to tell you recommended tire pressure and probably not going to match whatever's written on the sidewall of the tire. The information on the sidewall of a tire is often its highest load capacity and at its highest pressure recommended. So that is excellent to determine what the tire can hold up. When you get pulled into the weigh station hauling your trailer and the trooper starts looking at it, the first thing they're going to do is look at the ratings of the tire. So, but that's a whole nother subject. We're just talking about air pressure today. Good example of not even running the same air pressure front and back, and the reasons why. I have a 2-wheel drive Suburban. It seldom 3/4 ton. It seldom, if ever, leaves my yard without a trailer hooked to the back. I'm trailering all the time or hauling stuff. For the front tires, right in the door opening, I believe it recommends 60 PSI. The rear, it recommends 80. And that's what I run. With the front, I'm not putting the load of the trailer on the front tires. And it'd be nice to not necessarily have the harshest ride possible. That seems to work out. The rear, I need to be at maximum PSI, the rating on the side of the tire, because when pressure goes down, heat goes up on the tire when you're loading it near its capacity. So when you see exploded tires on the side of the highway, somewhere that stuff crossed and then the tire gave out. So you don't want that. But you don't want to ride around, if you're not working the tire, if you're just driving at half the capacity or less, you don't need the 80 PSI if that's your maximum, or 32 even if you got a passenger car tire. Most of the time the door opening is going to be 28 to 30. You just don't need that hard a tire all the time, and you don't want to wear out the center of it because the more you inflate it, the rounder it gets, etc. You can tell a lot by tire wear, but it's an adjustable, it's a setting. It's not a one size fits all. Same's going to go for drag racing. Every drag slick or front runner tire has a recommended pressure range. Front tires on a drag car, I want maximum. But if it's 32, then I want 32 to 35. I want that thing to roll, have the least contact patch, and I just want low resistance. The rear, a lot of factors. You have rear suspension settings, whether you're squishing the tire, lots of things. There's going to be a recommended range, and you got to experiment what works for you. The lower pressure feels kind of wiggly up top when you got big slicks, big tall sidewall slicks. So everything is a learning curve when it comes to that, and you got to pick what works for you. Don't be afraid to experiment a little bit, but it's definitely, again, not one size fits all, and something you have to watch all the time. The greatest thing I've done in the last few years is get my cordless M18 Milwaukee air compressor. Got a handle on it, about this big. You punch in what you want, screw it on the valve stem, and walk away. When it shuts off, you move to the next one. It retains its settings. You can walk all the way around the vehicle. I find myself checking my tires more often than not. Than in the past, I might have walked up and looked at them or kicked them and gone about my business. So having something easy to use is going to make you probably check your air pressure more often. So that's it for today. Feel free to comment like I mentioned, and thank you to all that watch. And I hope in some small way you got something out of this. Take her easy.